Hi, this is Manal, and I welcome you on behalf of Platinum Global Solutions to our series of online interview sessions. We are proud to have you as a keynote speaker at the upcoming conference on Global Time Protection Innovation Program. Thank you so much for taking your time from your busy schedule. Before we start our interview session, I would like to have a brief introduction about you, your professional career, and the area of expertise in which you're working.
Yeah, hi. My name is Errol Bong. I'm the global head of compliance and legal counsel at Noble Group, which is a global commodities trading company with operations from London all the way through to Australia. We trade not only physical commodities and get them from A to B, but we also trade futures, commodity listed options, and commodity OTC derivatives. So, we're very active in the market. I started off my professional career in top tier Magic Circle law firms in Australia, uh, London, and Hong Kong. I then moved to leading investment banks, starting with Barclays Capital, part of Barclays Bank, um, and then moved to Credit Suisse, which is another leading investment bank and private bank. Uh, Always kind of focusing on financial markets and finance. And whether it was in the banks or where I'm currently at with Noble, the focus has always been on reputation risk. That is a real concern for all these organizations. And reputational risk and protecting one's brand is very important because it has real dollars and cents impact on these businesses if they don't get that right.
Okay, that's a very impressive introduction. Let's move on to our first question. So tell me, what do you think about the ongoing global pandemic situation, and what's your take regarding its impact on the businesses worldwide?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. The ongoing global pandemic situation is having an obvious impact on people's revenues. And normally people think of the retail-facing industries like hotels and airlines, but it's also impacting all people along the supply chain, even companies like ourselves, because people aren't buying airline fuel as much. They're not even buying petrol as much as they used to because you can't drive and take your nice car vacations because of lockdowns. But it's also having another impact, which is, a whole part of protecting your brand is doing due diligence, and nothing can beat doing on-site due diligence. And of course, with the ongoing global pandemic situation, we're not able to do the on-site due diligence anymore. We're not able to focus on those issues that we know are crucial to protecting our brand as part of that on-site due diligence. So that's also having an impact there.
Okay, Errol, tell me, according to your experience, please to explain the current situation of the advanced protection industry, and what's your forecast related to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing in this affecting this industry is the the change from this being an issue, brand protection becoming an issue of being a good citizen, now to being a situation where it's a legal and regulatory requirement. So, for example, in the EU, the conflict minerals regulation has come into force, and that sets out the requirement for you to conduct due diligence on your supply chain, particularly where you're dealing with 3TG minerals, your tin, tungsten, tantalite, gold, and that these minerals are used from everything from high-level electronics, like your top-tier mobile phones, all the way through to everyday jewelry. And it's now your requirement, your legal requirement, where these kind of minerals are being ending up in the hands of the of end users in the European Union, for you along the supply chain to conduct proper due diligence to make sure there aren't any issues about forced labor or violence or other kind of you know key uh, ESG issues impacting these kind of the extraction of these minerals and the processing of these minerals. So is it's not just a case of being a good citizen in terms of addressing this. It's now becoming more and more a legal and regulatory requirement. And it's not only the EU conflict minerals regulation, But even the London Metals Exchange is passing conflict minerals rules as well. So even if you're outside the EU, but you're dealing with LME branded metals and materials, you're not potentially affected by this. So we're going to continue to see, I think, and this is my forecast, more and more rules and regulations coming out, making it mandatory to conduct supply chain due diligence on your upstream suppliers. Um, and it's not merely a nice to have, it's going to be a legal requirement going forwards. That's
Okay,
my forecast.
okay, that's it. So now, as a company, what changes have you introduced in terms of the business and operational strategies during these extraordinary times? And how these changes are going to impact the future landscape of your company?
Yeah, well, there's 2 points to that. Number one, in terms of dealing with these new laws and regulations, dealing with mandatory supply chain due diligence and conflict minerals and other similar kind of issues, where number one, looking at this from an internal perspective, putting on my hat as a head of compliance and legal counsel, reviewing these impacts of these changes to the business, and bringing in external experts where necessary. We're obviously upgrading our due diligence and but noting that our ability to conduct on-site due diligence is impacted by COVID, and we therefore have to have to look at other alternatives. Can we partner with NGOs, etc., to get their assistance to conduct due diligence? Um, and we're also upgrading our supply chain due diligence and maybe having to conduct that supply chain due diligence uh, remotely online, maybe sending these due diligence questionnaires to them electronically and getting the upstream suppliers to complete these as opposed to being able to go on site. Now, of course, it will be much better to go on site, but these are just some of these challenges that um, uh, COVID is throwing up. But it's important that we still nevertheless try our best to meet these requirements because, like I said, it's now becoming not just merely a nice to have, but a legal requirement.
Okay. So last question of the session, what are your expectations from the e-conference and what valuable insights our audience can expect from your presentation session?
Yeah, well, it'd be great if we could actually conduct this conference face to face because I love getting the feedback from the audience. But nevertheless, I think the key thing I want to make sure that the audience would get from my session is, I'm a very practical person, and I'm not going to just speak about the high level issues about branding. I'm going to be talking about how these issues have a real dollars and cents impact on your business. It impacts your ability to get finance. It impacts your ability to deal with other people along the supply chain. It really has an impact on your revenues, and that's what I want to make sure that our audience takes away from this. That yes, it's not only a case of making sure that we act as good citizen, but making sure we actually protect our bottom line revenues.
Okay. So, Errol, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. We're really looking forward to hearing you at our e-conference. Good luck.
Okay, thanks.